Is there a difference between men and women as regards needing to give up their dreams when they get married? Let's focus on men. I deal more with traditionally minded men. And so I want to focus on a problem, a challenge in any case, I see in them. And I've certainly seen it personally in my own life. I think we tend to think that getting married will be just adding a wonderful woman to the equation of my life. Now I'll be able to pursue all these great dreams that I have, and my lovely bride will be with me through it all. Of course, there certainly should be some truth to that, but there's a real danger therein, right? Men need to learn. And there's a question, will we? Will we see? God grant that we do. That getting married, first of all, simply having a good relationship with my wife is a choice that is going to demand a kind of energy that is not necessarily compatible with all my dreams. And a big part of our married life is going to be discerning together what is compatible and what's not. Now, there's no absolute formula for this, but I think there's an absolutely key principle. I, a man, proposing to a woman, asking her to marry me, I am committing myself to reevaluate my own dreams and be ready and willing to recognize and act upon the recognition that certain things don't fit anymore. Does it have to do with certain things I used to be able to do with my friends? Does it have to do with my profession and how much I'm going to be able to excel there? I'm not suggesting we can't excel in a profession. It's not very important to excel in a profession, but this can be a matter of degree. We might have to make certain hard choices about, well, were I able to absolutely commit myself to this, were I unmarried, I'd be able to do certain things there that now, given that I'm married, I can't, or I shouldn't, if I'm really going to be true to my wife and be giving the attention and energy to our relationship that it demands and I want to give. And of course, then you have the children, right? Given the gift of the limitations of human life, there's certain things we have to be ready to set aside. I'm going to give an example that you might think is silly. It's often we're tempted to think other people's dreams are silly, and I'll expose myself a little bit here. I've always wanted to be a horseman. I just wanted to be able to get on a horse and just ride like the wind. Part of that dream was I also wanted to have a relationship with a horse, a draft horse, from off of it, where I'd be able to speak with it and would be able to work alongside me. We'd be a genuine team as we moved through the field together. And there came a point, it was actually a very specific point a few years ago, I remember saying to my wife, I'm never going to be a horseman. I'm never going to learn to do with horses what I would so love to do. And that's okay. It was a very important moment for me. I learned something that day. I learned that we have to make choices in life, and that indeed, that's part of the gift. There's not something wrong there. It's ultimately because there's something right. And I would suggest we move forward with the conviction as we try to discern what dreams might we need to set aside, maybe temporarily, maybe permanently. That we move forward again with the conviction. There's nothing I as a man will be called upon to give up that I won't receive back tenfold in my married life, in my family life. Is there a difference now from the woman's side in how a woman thinks about the reality of having to give up dreams to get married? I think the truth of the matter is there is an important difference. It's rooted in the astoundingly beautiful nature of the relationship between husband and wife, and father and mother and children, in the nature of the household. This, what a woman is called upon to do in a household. I think the nature of it is so, in a sense, all-encompassing, is so kind of powerful and thick in what it demands of her in a daily way, that especially in an age where girls and young women have been conditioned to think that there should be no limitations at all to their dreams. And so they have tended to dream in abstraction from the richness and beauty of motherhood and family life. I think we have a situation where it will at least commonly be the case that girls will experience, gosh, if I'm really going to do the wife and mother thing, that's going to demand more of me as regards giving up my dreams than my husband is going to have to, quote, give up his dreams. I think there is a truth to a kind of asymmetry there. Do I think it's an unfair asymmetry? I don't. Is it beautiful, but extremely challenging and difficult, and one that we can often get wrong and misunderstand? Yeah, so we're treading in very difficult waters here. So let's turn that around a little bit more. Again, men absolutely have to be ready to give up dreams for the sake of this astounding thing called marriage and household and raising children. But according to what I think is a natural order, the man is going to have more opportunity to kind of look outward from the home and pursue, say, a profession, a craft, probably by which he's going to be the main support materially of the family, given that his dreams normally are very much connected with that. I think there's a truth here too. Certain of his kind of central dreams are going to actually be, now they might have to be followed in a different way. Absolutely. Some aspects may well have to be given up, but there is this aspect of pursuing those kind of obvious dreams that they had of some profession are going to be able to be fitted to, again, maybe revised, but maybe fitted to the household in a way that, again, especially today, given I think that the women have developed certain dreams more in abstraction from home, their experience is going to be, but wait, if I'm really going to do this home life thing, I'm going to have to really more take a knife to my dreams. And I think there is a truth to that. I might be wrong. I'm speaking here from having thought about it a lot, spoken with many people. A major aspect of the forming of my view of this, frankly, is the experience of my own marriage. And part of the reason that I'm saying that I think there is this difference is because I've seen in my own life that my wife has had to give up things in a way that I haven't. And I feel like if I would be doing an injustice. I would be doing her a disservice. I would be doing women a disservice if I were, in a sense, to pretend that that's not the case. No, there's no difference in how men and women might have to give up their dreams when they get married. I think experience is saying rather loudly that that's not true. So I want to approach this with a certain humility. I'm trying. In a certain docility. Well, let's learn and see, because I have confidence that there's a gift in this. Might be very difficult. Some gifts are hard to receive. Some gifts are hard to discover. But I think we see this. I think there's many great women who will give testimony precisely to this. That it was in their recognition, their realizing, and their discovering, getting married and having children, called out something in me I never could have foreseen, that took so much. My children especially demanded so much that it was incumbent upon me, for them, not just as some abstract duty, but looking into their faces and seeing what they needed. The reality was that for them, I had to, and thus I chose to, set aside certain things, recognizing I might never be able to come back to them. And has borne much fruit. This is difficult. And it's profoundly beautiful. And I think we need to be prepared to see that. And men and women are very much in this together. At the end of the day, it's 100%, 100%. We both have to be all in. At the end of the day, our dreams must be woven together. Our deepest dreams, our deepest, most important dreams, they're going to be fulfilled as long as we say that, recognizing that sometimes we have to reform our heart. We have to be ready to chisel them. We have to be willing at times to change and to grow. A husband and wife, learning to do that together, and perhaps learning precisely and specifically to reckon with the reality that there's a uniquely difficult call, a uniquely demanding, full-bodied call in what's called being a mother. I think that's part of a husband and wife discovering the gift of their marriage together. We all know that sometimes for economic reasons, a husband and a wife are both working. These are tricky. This is a tricky area. I think when that's a necessity, as it certainly can be, then does this change what we've just been saying? Does it change? Well, okay, then there's no difference in what they need to give up. I suppose I'd put it this way. Given the nature of motherhood, given that part of our insight into the nature of motherhood is the clear needs of children, and the clear, greater need of children for the consistent presence of a mother. I wouldn't say this means children need mother more than need father, but they do need, and this is clear in studies, they do need the consistent presence of a mother more than that fully consistent in the sense of so much time presence of the father. Now, they don't need a consistent but less total time, as it were. There's a greater need that the mother really be there more often. Given that, this is a principle that has to inform how we think about that profession thing. And so, again, there's no absolute formula. I mean, here, when you're talking about economic necessity here, we're talking about something that's beyond the issue of, well, what dreams might we have to give up or not? I mean, necessity always takes first place. And so, we both have to work, we both have to work. I think a principle we want to always be bearing in mind is this aspect of children need their mother in that more proximate, longer way, longer again, as it were, ideally more of the day. And that should be always borne in mind in how we think about the profession and how we're going to pursue that in our marriage. It's going to have to be determined by the husband and wife looking at that together. So I've suggested that there is a difference between how a man and a woman look at giving up their dreams. I've suggested that that difference is rooted in a greater need in the home for the consistent presence of a wife and mother. And it was given the nature of marriage, the household, raising children, there's a way that motherhood is to some extent more exclusive of other things than as opposed to fatherhood, and the role of fatherhood in the home being exclusive of other things. And I've connected that to normally the profession of the man is going to be the primary way that the household is being supported, and a woman is going to be called upon to be giving more of her energy to the moment-by-moment care of the children. But I want to follow this up with a very important caveat. Going back to men and their weakness in our not thinking clearly about what we need to give up. I am in no way implying that somehow it's okay when a man gets in the zone, which sometimes he certainly does, of thinking, well, the burdens of home life are kind of more fundamentally her problem. As though, I'm fundamentally going to be out there doing my thing, and motherhood calls upon her to be willing to give up things, so that's just kind of the way it is, in a way that makes a man not notice when his wife is being overwhelmed, when too much is being demanded of his wife. He doesn't notice when this is getting unreasonable. He himself is just expecting that, well, somehow this goes along with motherhood, that my wife would be able to say all these things. So I caveat in a beware to the men, and sometimes the man needs precisely his wife's help in helping him see, yes, I, the wife, am willing. I have chosen to give up things in a certain kind of way so that I can do this in our home together. But that doesn't mean that I don't need you to be ready and willing to give up X and Y and to be present here with and for me in a very specific kind of way. I'm utterly convinced that men need to learn to hear and to see that. And may wives be strengthened in their helping their husbands see that. Think of this example that a real friend told me when we were discussing this matter of what a man gives up, what his wife gives up. He said, I chose to be willing to move further away, be at a greater distance from my own family, his own family, because he recognized the great, in some sense, greater sacrifice, the more that his wife was giving up in getting married to him than he had to give up as regards certain important aspects of life. And so he wanted her to be closer to her family. And that was a real sacrifice for him. He very much wanted to be near his own family. But he recognized, this is where living in the truth makes such a big difference. I think just seeing this, we have to reckon with it rightly, not misexpress it, always be trying to understand it better. There is a sense in which a woman gives up more. And if we deny that, then this is actually oppressive to women, because we're not recognizing that reality is calling upon them to give up more. So I think we must avoid the mistake of, oh, well, I'm not going to ever make it sound as though a woman would have to give up more. That's gaslighting. That's got a name, right? I as a father have to be ready to confidently speak with my girls, my daughters, and be able to encourage them on this point. It's not something wrong in the world. It is going to be a suffering. But baby girl, you're going to be all right. If you're called to be married, you're going to discover there, and it can happen in different ways, but you're going to discover therein an astounding gift. Astounding gift Daddy can't even begin to tell you. You're going to be great. Be ready to receive the gift of your womanhood, and be ready. It might look a little different than people around you are telling you.